Well, it's been a while since I've said something, and all of a sudden I'm saying a bunch. Let's see if I can mount this in my truck as I drive here. You guys probably feel the same way. It's the only time you have time to say anything is when you're driving. But we're in the middle of a blizzard here. I just did some snow removal or ice melt. Now it's snowing so hard I'm going to have to go back and grab my skid steer, I think. So you'll have to bear with me. I have some thoughts that I wanted to share. And if I don't, I think I'm going to get too busy with grabbing the skid. But sorry for the annoying angle. But anyways, hey, I appreciate a lot of you reaching out to me after my last video. Very thoughtful of you and very encouraging. Thank you. I wasn't depressed or doubting my experience that I had. Just to clarify, I was just doubting, wondering if I did the right thing in sharing. And I think, hearing back from so many of you, I felt like it was the right thing. I do believe it's important to be careful in sharing spiritual experiences, because even when I've shared mine, that one in particular, it just feels, like when you see a beautiful sunset and you're trying to describe it to someone, you just feel like you can't really describe it, right? And that's how I felt with that. It just feels totally inadequate. Words are totally inadequate to share totally what happened. But anyways, I'm entered a phase that I think a lot of those that are still even remotely open to listening to what I'm sharing, and others in my same boat. I just saw a bishop online from the pulpit resign and stuff, and I don't know anything about him other than that it's another person that's recognizing some issues in the church, and not willing to break his integrity to just obey no matter what leadership in the church. So anyways, I'm hoping this video may be of benefit. What I'm going to share, I've got some children now at the age of getting to know people and dating and trying to figure out how they feel about the gospel of Jesus Christ, more so like the Book of Mormon and Joseph Smith or a Denver Snuffer, more so than doubting their faith in Christ and God. Thankfully, I feel like my kids are very firm. The ones that are of age where they have come to know for themselves these things are true. I love that when Joseph said that in his history, I've come to know for myself, which we all will go through. And I love the Doctrine and Covenants, section 121. I don't know what section it is in the Restoration Edition, but where it says no power or influence can or ought to be maintained by virtue of the priesthood, but by persuasion, love unfeigned, kindness, pure knowledge. And I feel like I've entered a phase in my life, and this happened when I 4 or 5 years ago, whenever that was, that I started seeing some things that weren't. The church had been lying about Joseph Smith and things as far as polygamy, and now they're starting to take away his teachings of coming in the presence of the Lord, second comforter stuff. They've completely neutered a lot of their scriptures with that. So anyways, I have, once I started seeing that, I knew I had to be really careful with sharing with my wife and children in a way that would be persuasive, instead of getting all excited and demanding obedience or that didn't feel good. Something on the truck felt like maybe a clump of ice fell off. The snow has finally come. Anyways, sharing things in a way of love, in a space of faith, not fear. And now as my children are, young adults. Some of them are young adults and late teenagers. Well, we have the whole gamut of children, but from 21 down, and they're dating seriously and stuff. It's hard for me to stay in a space of faith as I speak about Joseph in the Book of Mormon in Denver. The reason I have faith in their words, again, not faith in them. Cursed is the man that putteth his trust in man, but my faith in their words and verifying that the messages they gave. Joseph in particular is a huge part of my journey in Denver. I believe he's saying the same things as Joseph, and it's been good. Verifying his fruits as well. But for Joseph, reading section 93:1, section 88, hearing his commentary on John 14, that it's a literal visitation from God the Father and Jesus Christ, and that it was an old sectarian notion that that's in your heart, not a physical appearance. His commentary on that, which Bruce R. McConkie was big on sharing all of that, a lot of stuff on the Sent Comforter Bruce R. McConkie shared and apparently believed. It sounds like he didn't have those experiences himself, but he shared them. And so anyways, as I sought the blessings promised through the message given from a true messenger in Joseph Smith, and the messages given in the Book of Mormon of men and women, mainly men, but no difference in gender. They're God's no respecter of persons. So seeing Nephi and Jacob and Mormon, Moroni, all these experiences of seeing the Lord, knowing the Lord, hearing the Lord, receiving visions and blessings, and knowing that that was available to me because of the message given by Joseph Smith in the translation of the Book of Mormon and the revelations of the Doctrine and Covenants. Those are the plain and precious truths I believe 2 Nephi was talking about that have been taken out of the Bible. And after going through the hands of that great and abominable church, it talks about those fruits, those blessings, those covenants. And it says in 2 Nephi that the covenants have been taken out of the scriptures. That those are the things, those are the plain and precious truths that I believe have been a huge blessing to me, and I want my children to keep. I want them to believe Joseph's messages and Denver's message is the same thing, really. And the Book of Mormon's messages and witnesses over and over from different people that these things are available to all of us in the flesh. And greater light and knowledge is available as we seek it and as we repent and as we come unto the Lord. Those promised blessings have happened to many that have walked the earth and will happen to many that walk the earth if we believe it, right? Like the traditions of the fathers, I think it's section 93 as well in the Old Scriptures, LDS edition, that the traditions of the fathers and unbelief are a great hindrance to receiving more light and knowledge. Because if, the saying, right, if you believe it or you don't, if you believe it can happen or that it can't, you're right. With all sorts of applications in our lives, but that is for sure true. Unbelief keeps things from happening, experiences from happening, and limits faith on the earth. This is just my understanding of the scriptures and my experiences, what I'm sharing, and if it's helpful, good. I'm grateful. If not, it's fine. But anyways, I have no I don't know. I guess I was going to say I have no authority or mandate from the Lord, but in some ways I feel prompted and guided to share some of these things too, so I don't know. I don't think He's going to condemn me, though, for sharing what I'm sharing, but I'm just trying to expound upon the scriptures, and I have no, license to do so, I guess. I don't have a preacher license anymore. which they give you as a bishop. It's kind of funny. But anyways, there's no greater authority than from God, right? I believe Joseph had that authority. Denver had that authority, has that authority, and many others that have walked the earth. And I don't know where I fall in that spectrum, honestly. I don't claim to be anyone special, but I'm just sharing insights that I believe are shared in the scriptures. And I have a lot of former LDS friends, or they're still LDS on the records, but they know things aren't good in the church, that the church has apostatized, as prophesied in the Book of Mormon by Moroni and Mormon 8 and Nephi and 2nd Nephi 28. All churches have become corrupted. Why have you polluted the holy church of God? God has shown you to me. Why do you pollute the holy church of God and apostatize from the truth? These things are prophesied of in the Book of Mormon. Prophesied by Joseph Smith even is that, can't remember if it was a vision or a dream of the old barn and how that would related. Those things that it's pretty clear he's speaking of the church. So anyways, I bring up these things because the question has arisen in our home a lot. What is the role of the Book of Mormon? What is the role of Joseph Smith? Why do we need to hold on to those things, or are those things we need to let go of too? Because we start discarding things that we've learned and have had ingrained in our souls, right, about the church, and separating the church from the gospel, like Jesus talks about in 3 Nephi 27. It is my church if it's built upon my gospel. And we've realized this LDS church, current church, is not built upon his gospel. There's aspects of it, but they draw near to me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me is now applicable to them as well. And they teach for doctrines and commandments of men, having a form of godliness, but not denying the power thereof. The LDS church has become what the Jewish church was when Jesus came. I've said this before, but I think it's so important to put it in context, that Moses was a legitimate messenger from the Lord. He had true messages from the Lord. He made mistakes, yes, but his message was a blessing to Israel. And then by the time Jesus came, that same group of people had developed a hierarchy system with the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and scribes, and they no longer could recognize the Messiah, Jesus Christ, when he came, and they're still looking for him to come. And then there was a restoration, a dispensing of truth with Jesus coming, and Peter, the apostles are eyewitnesses of him. Of course, that the Christians fractured into the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church, and they have gone into apostasy now, and they have fragments of the truth with them as well. Protestants have broke off from the Catholic Church, and the Orthodox Church have aspects of truth, but they have fallen into apostasy as well. And so then there's a dispensing of truth with Joseph Smith, and he was given ancient records to translate the Book of Mormon, and he was given revelations that he shared. And those things all brought us back to the true gospel of Jesus Christ. And now in our day, the group of people that became a church, and many splinter groups from his original church, have all drifted into apostasy, and now don't recognize who Jesus really is. And as he taught in the lectures on faith, to know the correct character, perfections, and attributes of Christ is how we exercise faith in him. And we have to know that our course is in accordance with his will to exercise faith. And so, and have an idea that he exists, and the correct idea that of how he exists, who he is, and those things were revealed from true messengers through true messages. We put our faith in the true message, and that it's when we know it's from the Lord, and we put our faith in the Lord Jesus Christ and in God. But it becomes easy when we enter this path of not trusting people that have said they're prophets, seers, and revelators. It's very easy to really, I think, almost swing the pendulum in the way of putting trust in the arm of your own flesh. You don't want to put your trust in the arm of flesh of someone else and then you kind of discard all the messengers and messages, in a sense, and don't know what to believe and who to believe, and you can actually swing it to the point that you're trusting yourself more than messages sent from true messengers. Because in Moroni 7, he teaches that the pattern is to give his message to chosen vessels of the Lord. Another word for angel is messenger, right? So I think it's the Greek of the angel. And so these messengers come forward and share messages mandated by the Lord, and that opens the way for us to exercise faith as we trust those messages, because the Spirit confirms to us that they're true, and then we can receive the promised blessings. So I have received some of those promised blessings from following those messages, not following the person, but following the messages. And so I know that Joseph Smith was a true messenger from the Lord. I believe he was an imperfect man. I think he made some mistakes, possibly even in the way he set up the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But it doesn't condemn him or what he shared or the Book of Mormon. It doesn't mean those things are wrong or inappropriate. And the Lord gave messages to him to guide the church, just like if it's true, the hypothesis that he didn't create the church in the right way, then it would be then it would open the door to those revelations coming, the doctrine comes about the church, because I had some messages come up on my screen and distracted me. But so if the hypothesis is true that maybe he didn't create the church in a way that would sustain growth in us, kind of turned into a hierarchical leadership, even though he preached against that, nonetheless people elevated him and others to where they put more trust in him than they did in going to the Lord for themselves, which we always have to do. That's the message from true messengers, is that the Lord will come to us, that we can go to him directly. And so anyways, I think there's a valid point that looks like he might have made some mistakes there. And then, so do you throw away all the doctrine and covenants because the Lord gave messages to Joseph for the church? But it was what they were asking for, right? Much like the children of Israel when they wanted a king, and God said, no, I should be their king. But since they want a king, I will give them a king. And through his true messenger, Samuel, he chose kings, right, for the people. And so the people would end up following the king, and that led to lots of bloodshed and problems. But it's what the people wanted, so the Lord gave a prophet, a true messenger, messages to help them build their kingdom in the way they wanted to do it, to the level that they wanted his help, the Lord's help. And so he did it. And I think that may have been a similar situation with Joseph Smith and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The further along the road they got, he kept giving messages to Joseph to guide him in the way that the people wanted him to guide the church. And just like us, the Lord gives us messages according to our level of light and truth, according to understanding. He will work with all of his children because he loves all of us, and the messages will be different to us according to where we're at. The children of Israel, for example, had the law of Moses, a very strict law. And the letter killeth, because it was only meant for a degree of growth. And then once we got to a degree of growth, Jesus could come and fulfill the law and teach greater and deeper meaning to the law and what we need to become. The laws of God are always about helping us become like them. And if the law is killing us, if the letter killeth, as Paul taught, then there's times we need to let go of something that's holding us back. And so, anyways, I think it's beautiful how the Lord works with us. It's beautiful how he works with a group of people, and it's beautiful how he works with individuals. So it's a little tricky in how we discern truth for us, because we don't want to walk after the image of our own God, like Dr. Jones section 1 talks about too, that all men walked after the image of their own God. That's when it gets tricky about personal revelation, thinking that we don't need a man between us and the Lord, because then it can be we can all walk after the God in our own image. In other words, who we think God is instead of what is built on truth. We want to worship in spirit and truth, from the heart, with true doctrine understood and being followed and being understood. So anyways, that's a couple thoughts there as we all have youth growing up in this crazy experience that we're in, where we no longer put our trust in the arm of flesh, of the LDS flesh, and we put our trust in God, trying to walk that fine line in this freedom to follow the Lord perfectly, but also knowing our weakness and not wanting to trust in ourselves, but trust in God and His true messages, and recognize the proper role that He has, or the proper pattern He has always used to send messengers with His messages, and yet not fall into the trap of stunting our growth where we don't do anything without being commanded by His messengers. It's just, anyways, hopefully you can understand the spirit of what I'm saying. It's what I meant to share in my other video. I just want to be good with the Lord. That's it. I just want to be good with Him. And I'm human. I don't pretend to understand all His promptings, and so and His word to me. So anyways, I think you can appreciate the wrestle, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this. So I love all you guys. I'm grateful for you, and hopefully this is going to benefit you.